Now let's take our tooth and do a little bit of sculpting on it, and then duplicate it across the character's mouth. So jump back in here, and we've got our initial tooth set up. So let's just subdivide this once. And I don't really want to add just a ton of geometry to this. I'm going to kind of pinch down the middle. And I want to kind of bring that up a little bit, so it's maybe a little bit sharper. You can kind of smooth that down. If you want to try to sculpt a little bit on it, you can add a little bit of detail to it, but it's going to be fairly small. And so what we can do now is go ahead and take this and put the initial tooth into position here. I just want it kind of sticking up from the jaw. So we'll kind of put it right in there. You can move it down. Let's sort of rotate this out a little bit. You can see the wireframe there. Okay, and then what we can do is duplicate this and begin to place the duplicate. So we can come in here, and maybe this one is a little bit smaller. We can kind of rotate it a little bit more. And then we just want to duplicate that again and add some to the other side. It doesn't have to be symmetrical, so we'll duplicate again. And if you want to sculpt a little bit more on the head to just make it fit, we can do that. So once we've got our teeth kind of roughly placed in position, and if we wanted to have another one kind of coming out here, we could. But now we can come back in to the body with our sculpt, and we can start to sculpt around these. So kind of giving us a little bit more of a, kind of like they're connected. Now we are going to be at an angle where we won't really be able to see that too much, but if you want to, you can kind of add that in. Okay, so just create that sort of mouth seam there a little bit better, so it can look like they're connected into that jaw underneath it. All right, I'm also going to continue to add just a little bit of detail here around the base of the jaw where this comes in. Something like that. Just make sure there's a nice line there where that jaw hits. All right, and then you can go in and rename your teeth if you want to do that. A, B, C, D maybe, 1, 2, 3, 4. They're already kind of named that way. And so that's how we can get the teeth in there. And we'll have to modify these a little bit as we start to get into our pose, but at least where we have those teeth in there, we've got all the geometry in now that we want. So now that we've got that geometry in, the next thing that we want to do is we want to start to do some sculpting on the set pieces. And we want to really give a sense of scale because we want this guy to be fairly small. And so one of the details that I want to create is sort of a button, upholstery kind of button on this couch. I want it to be fairly large, and I want to repeat it. So I want it to happen more than once. And I don't want to have to sculpt it more than once. So in the next lesson, we'll take a look at how we can create our own vector displacement map as a stamp to kind of recreate some sculpted detail across a surface without having to do it multiple times. So we'll go ahead in the next lesson and take a look at that process.